This episode of the Turf District podcast is brought to you by Alberta Association of Optometrists, proudly celebrating a century of caring for Albertans. It happens, parents can easily miss their child's eye problems. Issues can occur in only one eye, making them difficult to notice. The earlier an eye health or vision problem is identified, the more likely it can be corrected. The I Learn program provides an eye exam and free glasses if needed for kindergarten-age children. 25% of kids begin first grade with an undiagnosed eye problem. To book your child's eye exam, please visit optometrists.ab.ca. The Alberta Association of Optometrists represents almost 800 doctors of optometry in over 80 communities across the province. Members are highly trained, regulated health professionals who provide primary eye health and vision care to Albertans. Learn more at optometrists.ab.ca. That's optometrists.ab.ca. Enjoy the show.
Hey, fellas, we ain't gonna ever back down from nobody. I don't care who it is. This is a brotherhood. And if we stand strong together, we can't be denied. If one of us goes down, we have another, and another, and another that's ready to fight. So let's hit this field and bang them, bang them, bang them. Somebody, light me up.
It's time to huddle up. It's the Turf District podcast. Welcome back to the Turf District, where we huddle up to talk all things Edmonton Elks and the CFL. We are a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown, community supported, and of course we are a member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network. I'm Andrew, and boy, do we have some fun things to talk about this week. I wasn't too sure if we'd have anything to talk about, and then all of a sudden, the Elks decided to really make Sunday fun, and now we've got lots to talk about. So I'm excited to get started. First, let's see who's here. Of course, to the immediate west. Yeah, immediate west? Must be. Something like that. All the way over in Turf District West. It is the one and only Superfan Mike. Just so for people who are listening, you just held up the cup that said this is probably gin, as it should be.
I'm just going to say, at this point, it's probably not far off.
No, exactly. I at one point messaged my manager today and said, there is not enough Coke to get me through this day, and I'm not sure if I mean cola.
Ooh.
That's kind of how that day was going. Yeah.
Nobody blames you.
Nope, no, not at all. You heard the ooh in the background from just south of us. It is the one and only Commissioner Kayla. How are you,
Hello. I mean, you could go with something else. That's maybe a little less crazy.
What? I just said you're
Whiskey.
coming from the south.
No.
Oh, so instead of Coke. Well, I really just have cola, but you know what I mean. Come on now.
Well, the south is pretty crazy. Ugh.
Yeah, well, that's very true. It's very true. And then joining us this evening, because we have not had a featured fan in the Turf District for much too long, and so
far too long.
Our plan for the rest of this year is to have a featured fan every week, and kicking us off with lots of amazing questions on Twitter today. It is Matt Pretty. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
That's awesome.
How's everybody else? I want to give my version of Mike's antlers a little.
Oh, with that lighting, it was really good, actually.
It was quite
nice.
excellent.
Great.
And with the flowers and the meadow in the background, man, you better be careful.
Yeah.
I might shoot at you.
We don't want that.
I don't have any particular drugs or intoxicating substances here, but I'll show you where I'm at right now with the season.
Perfect. That was a great lead in. Anyone but the Stamps. I like that. That was perfect.
So true.
I think we're all in that zone. Of course, now they're starting to get good because it's near the end of the year, and well, I need too many fire trucker buttons for where we're headed with that.
It's so true.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Matt, how have you been, man? We haven't chatted in a long time. How's things in your world?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, working from home during the pandemic has been a mixed bag. I sure don't miss commuting. It takes me about an hour to get to the office every day, so it's saving that couple hours every day is really good. But also, I don't leave the house for like 4 days at a time sometimes. So now that winter has started, I'm curling and playing hockey, and so that's helping. But it's been okay. Yeah. Not great.
And
not
you've done a couple of trips and that type of thing, because I know that you and your wife like to travel a lot, and so it's kind of nice to see you're able to get back into those types of things. And I believe you even were at an Oiler game on the weekend. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we got to the Calgary game on Saturday. That was fun. A lot of pent up energy.
What's
being
winning
released
like?
on part of a lot of people. Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not going to say they completely dominated the entire game, but it was sure fun to see them be in control. And it's like, yeah, okay, we're going to win. And then Connor got his hat trick with a minute and a half left, and it was like, ooh, I can cheer. This is a good thing.
Cheering for an Edmonton team.
Yeah, amazing. So,
who would have thought? That's ridiculous. Yeah. I've watched an Edmonton team win. Like not just play well, but win. Neat.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, at least Kayla's seen an Edmonton team win in person.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
This year. it was in Calgary.
Also got to watch the Stingers win the entire CBLE championship.
Also true. See?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of positives.
We're finding.
They're in Champions League now, hey? There's Champions League for basketball now, and in December, it's coming here, and we get to play somebody from Puerto Rico and somebody from Nicaragua or something like that.
Ooh, still fun.
I hadn't heard of that. That's awesome. I'm excited. To see how comfortable I am about day trips at that point. We'll see how that goes.
And soccer. Yeah. Soccer in November, which is crazy.
Or day drinking.
If it's soccer in November or December, there better be drinking involved, because that's the only way you're staying warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be
right.
Yeah.
Oh my. Hey, Mike, I wanted to ask you. You were able to get one of those orange jerseys, yes? Excellent.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it took me a while. I had to bid on several because people kept outbidding me. So I thought, I wonder if I do it as an anonymous bid, if anyone will bid against me. So sure enough, nobody did. So I'm not saying that they're bidding because they wanted to outbid me, but
that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I was bidding on some stuff, and their family members ended up outbidding me. So
it seems like
I'm guessing. But yeah, it's I've got a Niles Morgan, so a starting linebacker, which is always great. I've really liked his season so far as a rookie. I think he's been, he's had some down times, but on the whole, I think he's had a really good season. For this season. Yeah, so true. We'll take it.
I was, what's that?
It's a highlight. It's been one of the highlights anyway.
I was trying to get that Tanner Green, and then a guy that I went to high school with outbid me for it. And then he bid on another one too, and I'm like, "You jerk! Leave that one for me. What are you doing?"
That's what you get for stuffing guys in lockers in school.
Yeah, so. Totally sounds like me. Maybe you have not seen pictures of me when I was in.
Oh, I have.
I was not able to do that at that point. I had nothing, no shoulders, nothing. Yeah.
Okay, we need evidence.
Yes, well, we'll get some.
I have more hair now than I had musculature in high school. That tells you where that was. Yeah.
There we go.
I was wanting to be Matt Pretty in high school, and I was pretty close, but now not.
It's all about the mullet.
That's what it is. Oh my. Well, let's start talking about some. Okay. Well, let's talk about music then. No. No, let's talk about the game from last week. And then, Matt, you had some amazing questions that I do want to get to, but I do want to talk about the game, and I want to talk a bit about some of the latest news before we get into those questions, because they kind of roll into everything. So let's start with the game on Friday against the Bombers. Elks go down 26-16. I think I can probably say for all of us that it was closer than we all thought.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty solid.
Correct.
3 quarters.
Yeah, the 3 quarters were amazing. But, I don't want to go so far as to say amazing. They were good. Exactly. So, Matt, tell me what other goods you found in this game, because this one, at least, I feel like there were some goods.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. My takeaway from it was that they showed up and they played, and the effort was certainly there. The execution in a couple of places wasn't, but they were in it almost the entire time. The best example is that I had a rec league hockey game at 10:15, and going into the game, I'm thinking, okay, there's no way I'm gonna miss it. And then as we got halfway through the fourth quarter and we're still tied, I'm texting my team saying, hey, okay, I might not make it on time here. And I didn't quite in the end. It was close, but they played, and the defense held them about as well as you could expect, really. Right. I can't remember how many sacks we had. 4.
Yeah. 4.
That was good.
Yeah.
And it was not explosive, but they didn't give up a whole lot play wise, and on offense they got a few things going. Like, it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it might be compared to the week before.
That's fair.
Had the bar set nice and low.
It's good to set a bar low and then go from there. That's what we're looking for. Mike, what do you think? What was a good name for you?
I think the defense played fairly well, at least until the fourth quarter, when I think the dam broke. I mean, they must have been pretty exhausted, really. I mean, not just in this last game, but this season. I mean, really, it's been pretty tough for the defense to be keeping them in as many games as they have. Not all the games, but the majority have been really solid. I think the linebackers, Keyshawn Bierra, got a sack, which I thought was fantastic. Mm-hmm. I thought the linebacking core as a whole had a really good game as well. I mean, they could use a bit more on the run defense, but when you're going against, that offensive line, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, absolutely. But I would agree with you. I think this was Bieria's best game in green and gold. He finally had those plays that I kind of stood up and noticed. Right. Because most of the other games he's around, but he didn't have those ones where you're like, oh, he's making a play. But that on Friday he did. So, Commissioner, what about you? What'd you find?
I mean, just to reiterate again, D came out strong out of the gate. They wanted it. It was clear. But like you said, I mean, there's only so much of the game that they can carry on their shoulders before they get exhausted. And unfortunately, and no blame on them, but it happened. My main man, Washington, again, coming up big.
Another pick.
Mama Jedi happy.
Yeah, exactly. Very. We had a good return, but then things happened that brought it back. So kind of negates the fact, but it was there. Yeah. It happened. I mean, you could see a bit of more of a team dynamic and who wanted it and who didn't. I think it was very clear. And I really love how in a couple of games now, Shai Ross just would not be stopped. He would not be denied that touchdown. And I love to see those kind of guys come in and get frustrated enough that they're like, I'll just do this myself. Because when he had the game with 2 touchdowns, it's the same thing. Like, he fought tooth and nail for those. And again, on this, like, he only had the 1, but he still would not be refused. He's like, I'm getting into this. Let me do this. So, I mean, there's some shining lights, but it's like a scattered puzzle. You can see where the pieces should go, but no one's putting them there. And
it's a great analogy. I like that one.
Well, I mean, someone has to put them there, and someone's not. So that's all.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I was going to say that Costigan really stood out to me again.
Yeah,
I thought
fiery.
he had another great game and was in the backfield, especially in the first half. In the second half, a little bit less, and when we get to kind of what else has happened in the last little bit, there, maybe we need to spell off a little more, and maybe that's what they're looking towards. But in that first half, I thought he really stood out. So that was exciting. Now, flipping on to the other side of the things that were not so great, Matt, we'll let you start this one too. What was the things that stood out to
The
you
biggest thing
on
is
the kind of the bad
for
side?
Aaron Grimes dropping
Ooh.
the ball that hit him in the numbers with nobody in the same postal code, and yeah, that was tough.
14-point swing.
I don't even think I had my head up for a full 2 plays after that one. That was rough. The special teams overall, again, save for, field goal kicking, but the block punt especially was egregious, I thought.
Second game in a row.
Yeah. And I mean, Winnipeg should have a good two games in a row. You can't give up a block punt. And and then the one good return of which doesn't count because it never does. And yeah,
because the reason we get the good return is because there's a flag. Yeah,
I mean,
right.
The effort was there, the execution wasn't, and even when they were close on some plays, something always held them back. And like I said, I thought Shai Ross, the best example of effort was probably Shai Ross' touchdown, and
he wasn't going to be stopped.
Yeah.
No, it was good. And I mean, as far as other negatives, well, same kinds of things that we've seen all season, really.
Yeah, second verse, same as the first. Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, Kayla, I'm going to switch over to you this time for bad stuff, and then we'll go back to Mike.
Well, we all know my opinions on the special teams, so we'll just skip that.
It's fair at this point. Yeah. We know.
I would. This is a negative, and I don't want to harp on it too much because I feel bad, but I can't get past how Darrell Walker is not being efficient, not doing anything, not being who we know he is. Mm-hmm. And it begs the question of, okay, this seems more of like a psychological thing than a football thing. And it really makes me question what's happening in the football or in the locker room. That being said, being a vet, you should be able to overcome those things because you've been in the league for so long. But again, I mean, Walker means so much to a lot of fans and me as well. But at what point do you say, well, they did it to Trevor Harris? At what point do you say, hey, you're not doing what we're paying you to do? And I don't want that. Let me make that clear. I do not want that. I don't want that to happen to any guy. But I mean, as a vet, you need to step up because these other receiving corps, they need to see what a vet looks like and what this team should be able to do. So I think that's my biggest negative frustration coming out of last week's game.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think the thing is that it'd be different if he wasn't getting targets. Like if you look at Ellingson, he's really not getting targets. But the ones that are coming to him, he's getting majority of them. Whereas I think something like that, it was a ton.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Not his first time either.
And the one, and I think there was already kind of a grumpy mood before the game when Darrell Walker made a few comments, and then hits him in the worst possible spot, right in the hands, and drops it. And so I think that kind of made it worse. I don't know if that makes it worse for him as well as it does for us, but we're watching and going, come on, man, you're asking for it. We're giving it to you and you're not doing your side. So I totally agree. It just, there's something off and I don't know what it is. So,
about a lot of things. He's not pointing fingers at all, but that's just what really got out to the game. in the game for me this time, and it hurts because I love Walker.
Yeah.
He's D-Walk, like.
But it sounded like he was pointing fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, me.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not pointing fingers.
Right.
I was gonna say too on on a couple of his catches, even he might not even been past the line of scrimmage out in the and he's got 3 guys to beat.
Yeah.
And we ended up with 2 yards on the play, and that's he certainly didn't have a game yet. That one terrible drop, but that's not how you use him.
No,
or it shouldn't be. And so something wrong in a lot of places and in a lot of areas, figuring out how to use our offense.
Again.
Super fan?
Yeah. I thought the offensive line had a pretty rough game, especially at the tackle position, both left and right tackle. I mean, when you're going up against guys like Jackson Jeffcoat and it's going to be pretty tough when you've got one of the strongest defensive lines in the league, especially at the defensive end position and, for that matter, defensive tackle. But yeah, it was a rough day for them, and they only got really saved because of the running ability of our quarterback with Taylor Cornelius. I mean, the fact that he is able to scramble. We were sacked 4 times. How many times would everyone guess if it was Trevor Harris behind?
Probably.
8?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably.
And I think we should mention too, right at the end of the third quarter there, Cornelius went on one of those jaunts, and it sure looked to me like he pulled a hamstring. Like the way that he pulled up on the sideline, and then that fourth quarter, he wasn't able to, like, he didn't seem to plant the right way, and he wasn't seem to like for throwing, and then he wasn't taking off the same way in the fourth quarter, which definitely affected the team. But he had lots of moments that were great, but there were lots of moments that are you gotta, but if I'm correct though, no interceptions, so that is a step in the right direction. Well done, Corn Dog.
1 touchdown, 0 interceptions.
That's better than 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions.
Hey, it's better than the opposing quarterback had. He had an interception, so
should have had 2.
Thank you.
Should have had 1 for a pick 6. But anyway, we'll stop. Okay, we'll stop talking about that now. That's horrible. Okay, so let's talk about the news, because right after this. Well, they did release Hunter Carl and Brandon Pittman from the PR, so I think we should probably deep dive into that. And then on Sunday there was a trade or something. I don't know. No, the trade happens. Trevor Harris gone. Goes to Montreal in return for defensive end Antonio Simmons. And so first reactions when you heard the trade. Let's start with you, Matt.
Quite to think, although there had been the rumor out there a few days before, and so I was saying, well, we got a player back at least.
Right?
I don't know.
I agree. Yeah.
I think the first reaction was, wow, are we ever broken? And we may as well just blow the whole thing up, because nothing is going well for that to happen.
So let me ask you, did you have that thought when Harris was just on the sidelines for the game on Friday?
Certainly I figured something was wrong beforehand, but to trade a guy that was your franchise quarterback, and quite obviously he wasn't performing up to his paycheck from a purely analytic numbers level. Mm-hmm. We weren't getting the production we needed out of it.
Yeah, very true. Oh, did we lose Matt?
We may have.
It's an interesting pause.
Frozen in thought.
It's a pregnant pause.
Wow. So are we? I guess the show's 9 months long. So okay, go, Mike.
Seems like the season is.
We'll get Matt back on, but Mike, tell me what you thought when you saw the trade happen.
Well, I mean, it wasn't a huge surprise that a trade was coming. It was a bit surprising to me how fast it happened. I mean, I know the trade deadline is coming up, but it just seemed
Do you know
like
when that is? Actually, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I can't remember.
it's the end of October,
Okay.
so
okay.
it's a week and a half, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise just to see that it was like, oh my God, it's already happened. I mean, we kind of figured there were really only two teams where he could go, between Ottawa and Montreal, especially with the injury to Vernon Adams Jr. But I thought Ottawa would have been a more. But as it turns out, we have one of the cheapest GMs in the league, from what everyone tells me in Ottawa. So he wasn't going to pay it, especially not when you have a quarterback that, much like happens every year, had a huge bonus coming up after the season. So you had to figure that if we didn't trade him, he likely could have been cut anyway. I don't think anyone can say he's earned a $300,000 next year. So that on top of the $400,000 to $500,000 he's making. So
yeah, I was really I was actually floored that we got anything back, because I thought what was going to happen was what you just said, which is that they would release him and somebody would pick him up for nothing. Like, that's what I thought would happen. Oh, I see Matt's eyes moving. He must be back.
I think I'm back.
Yes, you are. Perfect. Okay.
Oh, good.
And now
Sorry about that.
Mike's frozen. Great.
I'm here.
Oh, you're there?
I'm
okay.
here.
I thought you moved. Okay. I'm like, weird. You're holding really still in the camera part. Okay.
I was gone.
Okay.
But then I'm back.
Okay, wonderful. Well, it'll start moving at some point. Sorry, Matt. I don't know if you heard any of that, but we noticed you froze, so we just kept going.
It's all good.
Okay, good.
Probably similar anyway.
Yeah,
no,
probably. Yeah. Kayla, tell me what you thought when you read about the trade. Oh, see, now it's just me and Matt.
I'm here.
Everyone else is frozen. Okay.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay, there you go, Commissioner. So,
is
what
my
did
video
you think
frozen?
about it?
Yes.
Yes, the video is
My
all
Skype
frozen.
just shut down.
Everybody's Skype is there's Superfan back. There's Matt back, and I could hear Commissioner, but I don't know what happened with that. Anyway, this is going to be a fun edit for you there,
Weird.
Mike.
I'm glad it wasn't just.
No, it
me,
wasn't.
sorry.
No, there's Kayla. Perfect. Okay, so what do you think about the trade, Commissioner?
Oh, sorry. Put my hot
fine.
toddy down. I'm the same as Mike. I was very shocked of the speed of how it all transpired. And I'm also like, Matt, I don't really know what to think. Like, does this really solve our issues?
Oh,
in the long, right? So that's where I'm having problems, is I really feel like this is just kind of, well, it may serve the team in the future. Who will need, we don't know, possibly could. We never know in these kind of situations, but I feel like it's almost trying to move the target or place blame or distract. Very political, seems. But I just don't think that this is going to solve anything right now. Maybe it had to be done. Maybe it was requested behind the scenes. Who knows what goes on, but I don't know. I just feel I'm just frustrated with this season, not because we're losing, but amongst other things. It just seems like it just is like a snowball that keeps going downhill, and you're just like, you just blow up the snowball because it's just going to get bigger. The further it rolls down the hill, it's just your problems are just gonna, so God only knows what's gonna happen. We'll see. I mean, I liked watching Cornelius play. I think he's really fun. He's got a lot to learn. He's got a lot of growth to do, but he seems very eager to do it. Yeah, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Was that anything?
No, it was good. I mean, I think, like I said, I was surprised we got anybody back at this point, but I thought as soon as they benched him, and they were showing him a little bit on TSN as he was on the bench, and I don't think Trevor's you know, I think he's there for his team and those types of things, but I think with him not playing, I think with the way that dynamic is, as soon as they decided he wasn't going to play, they either had to release him or trade him right away, because him hanging around the team, it's like there's another cloud, right? Like we have more than enough clouds going on this team. We don't need that as well. So I wasn't surprised when it happened. Other than the fact that we had somebody coming back. And the one thing that I will say about the coming back, and Mike, I think you and I talked about this a little bit, or texted about this a little bit, is I'm wondering if Kwaku's not 100%, because
It wouldn't surprise me.
He's not, like, we haven't seen a hula hoop since what, game 2? I say hula hoop.
Let's go with that.
But it's like,
call it whatever you like.
Exactly. But we haven't seen that, and so to me, like, I'm wondering if he's not 100%, and so you're bringing in another defensive end so that there is some rotation for Costigan. There is some opportunity to maybe give Kwaku a bit of a break. Maybe there is that person to just kind of help out a little bit, so that we're not, if we already have somebody who's only playing at, say, 80 or 85%. Now his 80 or 85% is, you know, a lot better than some other people, but I still
That's
think
true.
If he's not all the way there, maybe we want a guy that can kind of spell that off. So I can see a benefit there, and Simmons is got a pretty good play from what I've seen of him, and I know Paul Reckner's talked highly of him and those types of things. So I'll be interested to see. A lot of people were coming down or asking me, like, it's 1 for 1. Where's the draft pick? Where's the something with it? And
That wasn't going to happen.
That wasn't going to happen because we had already benched him. If we hadn't already benched him,
right,
the value would be higher, and maybe that would happen, but it wasn't going to go anywhere otherwise.
But you're talking about defensive ends. Don't forget we got Chris Kasher not too long ago as well. I mean, he had a great season, I thought, last season, 2019. He had 7 sacks last year. We could use 7 sacks on the team right about now. So I think that's helpful. I mean, I was expecting the defensive line to drop this season when Mondo went to Montreal. He used to soak up those double teams, sometimes even a triple team, more often, and that would free either the other defensive tackle or the ends to get out there. I think we've seen a bit of a fall off from Matthew Betts as well. Betts, I thought, had a fairly decent start to the season, but lately I haven't seen a whole lot, and Costigan may have even passed him on the depth chart if it wasn't for the birth certificate.
Yeah,
really.
I agree.
He's got some speed. They always said he had a great motor, but if he's not doing much to get to the quarterback, to get outside of those deep offensive tackles, he's not doing a whole lot. And when you've got guys like Costigan who have been able to get past and get some sacks, then maybe that ratio may need to change a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if we can get another Tony Simmons, our second Tony Simmons on the team, then hey, you know what? Why not?
That's right. Just can't have enough Simmons.
Well, we had in 2004 we had Tony TNT Simmons at wide receiver.
Nice name.
If Chris Jones was here, maybe he'd turn Antonio Simmons into a receiver, just because just for fun.
Just might.
I mean,
I've got Tony Simmons jersey back here. Maybe we can have him wear the same number.
This is all shaping up exactly as we planned.
Yeah, defensive end wearing an 80s number. Heck, it happen.
Sure. Why not? Yeah.
Leroy Blue,
Why
89. Why not?
Yeah. Well, we know how that ends. Let's go to Matt's questions, and then we'll do some questions from YouTube. So, because I really do want to tackle these ones, and especially after we just talked about that, I think, like I said, these are good lead-ins. So, Matt, your first question was, does the trade change the Elks team vax percentage? I don't know, but maybe.
Well, the only way it can is if one is
correct
vaccinated and one isn't.
Yeah, exactly. So at this point, I don't think it matters, because we're already making up that other game anyway. So
yeah, and I mean, and the kicker I was thinking about was that I think it's the playoffs now. I think the second week of playoffs, unvaxxed players won't be allowed
Right.
to fly. And that could really mess with your road games. However, all of our road games are going to be done by then.
We'll be fine.
Yeah.
And
It's only the division finals, right? And the Grey
yeah,
Cup.
yeah. But I did read a thing from Terry Jones today that said they're still under 85% for what that's worth.
Okay.
But it's what was the source again?
Don't get me wrong. That source doesn't hold a lot of water with me for sure.
Okay.
But,
I mean, it was under 85%. We have not heard any updates since then, so who knows? It may be. It may not be.
Yeah.
But you got to think if it was over, we would have heard.
Yeah.
you'd
Well,
hope.
I hope so. Yeah. Especially with the GM that literally can't get the vaccine. You'd think that you'd want your
Right.
entire team to be protected, so they would kind of, in secondhand, protect you, kind of. But anyway, it's a whole other issue. Number 2, can the team afford the dollars to pay out Brock Sunderland and Jamie Elizondo contracts if they're fired? And then having to pay 2 times for head coaches and GMs in 22 and 23. Now, Mike, you and I were talking about this or on text with Paul, and I admittedly said I really need to learn more about that whole coaches/admin cap, because I wish I knew the answer to this, but I don't, because I don't know how those contracts affect the cap, and where do they affect the cap, and because coaches contracts and GM contracts are usually guaranteed, so if you fire somebody, are they still guaranteed? Like, I don't know how that all works, and then I don't know how that applies to the cap. So Matt or Mike, Kayla, do you guys know about that, or because I don't honestly know? Kayla, no.
Yeah, as far as
yes.
I know, if you are paying dollars, and for guaranteed contracts they do count against the cap. But there was at one point a stipulation that once every 5 years you could have a gimme.
Right.
So I don't know, did we use that on Moss because he was still under contract? But then we also didn't play last season.
Oh, fair.
So he was still getting paid. So I don't know if that counts now. But did we use it? Because if we did use it, then we're kind of, we're stuck with what we got. So Sunderland has 2 more years on his contract, 22 and 23. Elizondo, I don't remember the number. Was it a 2-year or a 3-year deal?
2.
So if it's 2-year deal, it's 1 more. So
I thought it was 2 also.
Right. Yeah. So if that's the case, it's next year. So it'd be easier to replace him, but it's going to take, like I said, to get rid of Sunderland and have that kind of dollar amount. That's going to be pretty tough to swallow.
Right. And then how do you, even if you do decide to do that, then the person who's coming in, you got to find somebody on a screaming hot deal, which yes. Are you going to find that right now? Right. So I think that's the thing that really plays into that. And I guess what I would say to that is I got to do more like real research, like not Facebook research, but real research on how does the cap work, and then see that if that makes a difference. So, and I'm sure there maybe some YouTube people will be commenting before long, but yes.
I mean, it's supposed to be about competitive balance, right? Being able to say the have teams can't just throw money at the best talent out there and get them to come to their team. So I understand why there's a cap there, but it makes no sense to hamstring a team if somebody is fired because they're not doing the job, that we now can't hire another head coach, and you've got to get someone that's head coach and offensive coordinator and ball boy and, physical therapist, right? Just able to get the cap. So.
Well, and it's so easy for players to get like the shaft too, right? So
they're not guaranteed.
Yeah, which is, it's the same thing. It's like, well,
and again, you're mine. So
but I mean, like, you're just kind of showing who's worth
Right.
more, right?
Mhm.
And that's kind of, but that's just management. So
Yeah.
it's in everywhere, every
I
business.
mean, a lot of people say, well, let's see, if you're a wide receiver, there's, let's say there's 5 starting spots per team, so 45 different spots out there. There's only 9 GM spots. I kind of
Right.
get that, but at the same time, making it the haves and have-nots, like you said, Kayla, is saying you're the player, you're replaceable. This is a GM, they're not
Right.
replaceable.
Right. Yeah.
Or coach or whatever is under that cap.
Well, and if you think about the way the cap has gone, now I understand that Coach Milanovic left, was it February, right, of this year?
Yes, and that wouldn't count against the cap.
And that wouldn't count. No, absolutely. But then they only had so many dollars to bring in Elizondo, and
so much time.
if they then were so when Elizondo got here, I want to be a little bit fair to Jamie Elizondo, and I understand that there's obviously things like Kayla, you were talking about we have all these puzzle pieces, and whether or not the puzzle is actually being put together properly is a whole other
Yeah. He's not the
conversation.
only problem.
No.
Yeah.
But I do think that he also came in. Now some of the guys that were here are guys that he would have picked, but he didn't get to pick his coaching staff. He got to come. He had to come in and deal with what he had, and so
Exactly.
I think there's a little bit of I want to give a little bit of leeway with that. That it's different when you have your own dudes, right?
Yeah.
So there is some change there.
I think he
There's
deserves
always-
more mercy than he's getting, in my personal opinion.
There is always an exit interview at the end of every year for every person on staff, and what did we do wrong? What are we going to do next year to make it better? And it's how they answer those questions that kind of determine whether or not they're coming back. So if you say, listen, I have no idea why we didn't do so well, or you start making excuses for it, then more than likely I don't see that's going to get any better. But if you're like, okay, here's what happened, here's why it happened, here's what we're going to do to fix it, then maybe you're going to give them a little more leeway and a little more rope to at least have one more season or, part of a season without making them a lame duck coach or manager or whatever.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Did that answer that question okay, Matt?
I figure so.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, just purely, I was thinking, okay, well, if you get through next year, you're only absorbing 1 dead year of Sunderland instead of 3 dead years combined.
Right.
Yes.
Plus the cap, plus everything else. It's just, it would have been expensive. And I don't think Elizondo's the only issue. I think Mike's right in that his plan to fix it will determine his job security. I mean, heaven knows he certainly didn't get to pick a special teams coach.
Right.
The way things went. So
he got to pick a couple.
yeah, well, it's true. Yeah, probably not his first choice. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But
it's fair.
Yeah.
And his defense, our special teams has struggled for a very long time. So
yeah, it's not just the one. Yeah, exactly. Okay, question number 3. Does any non-player have a good case to keep their job after this year? Now, I'm not going to I'm going to say what you said, Matt, but what give us your opinion on that first, and then we'll chime in.
At this stage, I'd be fine with blowing everything up, except for Noel Thorpe.
Okay.
I think he's done a great job coming in with 3 rookie linebackers, like no experience at linebacker, a slightly downgraded defensive line, a secondary with a bunch of vets who had not necessarily played together before. And that defense has been the strength of the team, where we all thought the reverse would be true. So I got time for that. I probably have some time for the position coaches too, depending on what their feelings are and how they see things going forward. But from a business side, it's been not a good year. From a football side, it's probably been an even worse year. And so if there's a time to just start fresh with a brand new quarterback, brand new everything, it's probably now, if you can afford to do it.
Okay.
That's an if.
That is an if. Absolutely. Yeah. Commissioner, what do you think about that question? Yeah.
I don't.
That was a good time for it to be a video podcast. Yeah, for those listening at home, that was a giant eye roll from the commissioner. Okay.
At this point, I don't know. Who knows? It's so hard to just like point fingers because again,
Right.
you don't know what happens behind the scenes. We can only see what happens on the football, and we're not producing anything on the field. So of course, people want to fire. And if it's deserved, then absolutely. But at this point, I mean, started from the bottom, now we're here, but we're here and doing nowhere. So I would say, I mean, if you need to blow it up, blow it up.
Okay.
But I don't know like the business side of things. I can't pretend something needs to change, and a lot of things need to change. So whether that's reorganizing or rehiring, I don't. I mean, and who knows what the board is thinking right now.
Or ever.
Fair.
My boss is on the board. I can't say much.
Oh,
Yeah.
mine
Yeah,
isn't.
go ahead. Yeah, that's yeah, no, mine either. Yeah. Mike,
Okay,
you're up.
so I went through the lists when I read the question originally, and I found 4 coaches I would keep. Like Matt said, Noel Thorpe.
Okay.
Noel Thorpe needs to stay. I think it's been one of the best defenses as a whole that we've seen in quite a while. Probably in the last 4 or 5 years, since 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, strange that
Weird.
And
Okay,
because
yeah.
of that, I think
Yeah.
Cam Robinson, who's the linebacker coach, like Matt said, we at one point had 3 rookies in that linebacking core, and they didn't really look out of place. And then bringing in, an all-star in Moncrief, it's taken him a while to get in, but I think he had a really solid game this last game, including a sack.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Robinson is somebody that could stay, as well as somebody that Noel Thorpe would have brought in. And then Demetrius Maxey on the defensive line. While the line has taken a step back, we lost Mondo, and that's going to hurt any defensive line. And the last few years, we've been one of the best defensive lines in the league. So I don't think having one down year, and not it's the worst one in the league, is just not as great as it has been, I think earns him a little bit of leeway. And then the only one outside of the defense that I might keep is James Bolono, who's the running backs coach. The average per carry for running backs has been the highest it's been in a long time. The biggest problem is the guy making the calls, the offensive coordinator, hasn't used them enough.
Correct.
When you're getting 5, 6, 7 yards a carry on average for a game, and you only have 10 carries, and you were, at least close to being equal or winning at one point, that's just not right. Like we need to have that balance so that the defenses don't just pin their ears back and make you a one-dimensional team. So those are the 4 I would pick.
Yeah, that's solid.
I wholeheartedly agree with the running backs coach. That was my pick. Actually, I wasn't sure if anybody was going to say it, so I was hiding that back for that was the guy. But that one day at camp, listening to him talk to those guys, that guy, just, he gets coaching, and I agree with you, Mike. They've been very successful, and they just have been underutilized for sure. But I mean. Otherwise, I think, you got to. There's going to be a lot of look in the mirror, right? And I think, and that goes right from the board of governors down, and they got to do something too. And I think they have to have that question to Chris Presson is how are we going to do this? I think if they decide to go away from Brock, that I think Presson gets a chance to bring somebody else in because he would have to. I think they'd give him that opportunity to bring in his guy because he hasn't had that chance yet.
Right.
And if they decide to move on from Jamie, then I think it'll be okay. Bring in your guys, and whether those guys are Noel Thorpe and gang, who knows? But I think that would be that trickle down effect of who. But you want to have people who are bringing in their guys and let it and see how the chips fall, right? So. Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
From the top down.
So, but I do think it'd be nice to hear from the board on how they feel about how this is all going and on every side, right?
Won't happen until the end of the season.
I get that, but there's still you gotta, we're You have a lot of people who are really upset about not just the on-field play, about the stuff off the field too. So, okay, and number 4, before we get to our YouTube questions, is
I
go
got
ahead.
one more
Please.
thing to
Yes,
chime in
please.
there, Andrew, if I can. So the out of the 18 zillion sports I follow, I'm a fan of Seattle Sounders in MLS. They have about 30,000 season ticket holders. What
Wow.
they have is a council of, they call it the Alliance Council. It's a council of season ticket holders. You have to have 25 supporting votes from season ticket holders to get on this council committee. And they have a quarterly meeting with owners, and they can advise on game day experience to community endeavors to play to coaching to anything, advising. The club doesn't have to obey them, but they can take their opinion into account. They do have a binding vote every 4 years on the GM's job, and they pick 2 charitable partners per year from the community that the club has to work with.
Interesting.
And
Wow.
something like that here hopefully would help repair maybe some of the rift between the board of directors and the fan base, and solve some of the off-field stuff that we've probably had more this year than any other year in the past 10 or 20. And something like that, I don't know how exactly it would work, but I think something like that for us, a community-owned team, would be really beneficial.
Boy, do I like that idea. That is a pretty good thought. Yeah, that was a dad joke. Okay. That's no, I love that idea. I love that idea.
That's pretty dope.
Everyone on board there? I like that idea.
Oh yeah.
I nominate
Expecting someone to say, nah, not really.
I nominate Mike to go on the board. That's what I do on the committee right now.
All
Yeah.
that free time.
Yeah, well, tell me somebody else who knows the history more than Mike, because there's not many. I would put Mike on that board right now. So, let's make this anyway. If I had a gavel, I'd bang it and say done. But I have no choice in this, so that's
Just ring a bell. Ding.
yeah. I all I have is a shiny head and shiny teeth. That's it's not helpful.
It works.
Yeah, exactly. If you
Close enough.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the next kind of what's the not Judge Judy, but the other one. I don't know.
The other one.
Yeah,
It's like 85
that's true.
million judge shows.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, give me a gavel.
Yeah.
Matt wins. Okay, number 4. Not the losing that's depressing so much as the lack of explosiveness. Not much fun to go to the game knowing the odds are seemingly 95% against seeing a big play with the ball. How do you bring the entertainment factor back to the offense? So, Matt, what do you feel about that before we all talk about it?
Just try some stuff, honestly. We got beat by a special and excellently executed special teams play on the lateral
Yeah.
for 50 some yards.
Mm-hmm.
Ottawa tried it on us earlier in the year. Good thing they threw the ball 2 yards forward. Otherwise, that was a touchdown.
Yep.
And we don't ever seem to try anything like that. And I mean, our special teams isn't going to be the one to try that, let's be honest. But on offense, like an option pass, flea flicker, even just hitting a guy in stride. I don't think we've hit a guy in stride in weeks.
Nope.
Like, I want to play where you're like, oh, instead of throw. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it's sometimes on the offense, it's kind of the same motto that the special teams has. It's catch and fall down, because you're catching it in a dead stop. Well, like, where are the passes down the middle? Like, I'm flashing back to UT here. But where are those right down the middle passes to the guy that's in full flight? And yeah, we're not seeing those for sure.
We were saying the same thing under McAdoo 6-7 years ago.
Well, Macadon't, yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was a tough one. But you're bang on with that. How do you feel about that, Mike? Or what do you think they need to do?
I would say watch Winnipeg and do what they did.
That's
so
a
many
good,
reasons.
good answer.
What-
Yeah.
I mean, they're winning, and I think if our record was flipped and we were, 7-2 instead of 2-7, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. People would be there. Somebody asked me today. I was talking to, why do I think the attendance numbers are down? And I see that question's been asked in the chat. We'll get to that shortly.
Mhm.
And I think there's a large part of it. If they're like, if we were winning, we'd be full. I'm like, I don't necessarily think we'd be full if we were winning. I mean, we've talked about it many times before. A former president said winning isn't everything. And to be honest, I agree with him. Winning isn't everything. Calgary was winning all the time, and their numbers were in decline.
Right.
You need more than winning to bring fans to the stand. And in a gate-driven league, you need to have something that's going to make it so people want to come. Hansen wouldn't have been my choice. No,
You
it's
don't
hard
say.
to believe that we'd spend that kind of money to bring Hansen here, but apparently people did enjoy it. I enjoyed West of Us. That was good. But
Well, you could social distance at West of us because there was
it
nobody
was
else on the
pretty
concourse.
bad. When I saw the numbers announced, I was like, really? But that's tickets sold, not necessarily bums and seats,
Yeah.
right? So, but it was certainly
Correct.
better on the west side than it was on the east side. The east side was pretty sparse. So, if you needed to go to a game where you can go to the bathroom or get yourself some mini donuts, this was the game. You need to make it so that people want to come, and to make that happen, you need to have a great game day experience. And we've all been to other stadia out there and seen how they do it, whether it be other CFL teams or other hockey teams, other soccer teams, other basketball teams, whatever. And when you see a really well done game day experience, it ripples through the crowd. Whether it was something as simple as the Beer Snake in Winnipeg a few years ago, people going like crazy, and people wanted to be there as part of it. Ottawa, I had a lot of people, and a lot of the millennials that they are so desperately trying to get. You just got to make it worth their while, and I don't know. I just don't think that they've hit it yet, and they keep trying, and it almost seems like they're trying so hard to get the millennials. It's the meme of the guy looking over his shoulder at the girl and ignoring the one he's with. It seems like they're so desperately trying to get these people that aren't here. They've been ignoring the people that have been, and now you're starting to see them not show up.
Yeah, you just need avocado toast and we'll be there.
Nice. See, I'm fine with that. I'll do some avocado toast.
It's good stuff. Why wouldn't you want it?
Excellent. Yes.
Have you never had it, Andrew? Come on. No? Oh,
No.
a nice
good,
cracked
thanks.
sunny side egg on the avocado toast.
Nothing says concession food.
Okay.
Like a
Right?
fresh egg.
Like a fresh. Well, I don't know. Have you watched those Tim Hortons ad? A fresh egg makes all the difference, I hear.
Does.
Yeah, exactly. We won't get into what were they before. But anyway, yeah, I know. The other thing that I've heard, and I'm not usually a person who wants to point fingers or anything, but do you know who the new in-stadium announcer is?
No.
Yes,
'Cause
Corey Graham.
I have.
Assuming you're talking about the guy
Okay.
who used to be Al Stafford.
Yes.
Yeah, not
Right.
Chris Sheets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, not Chris Sheets. I'm talking about
That's his
the
name, not
announcer
Chris
for
Sheets.
the
Yes.
plays. You're not perfect. Okay, not
Yeah.
Al Stafford, that guy. It's like I've heard even like they need to do more with that announcer position too, where it's not always Chris Sheets either. Like you have the ability to like. I think we all know Al Stafford. We all know high school football. We all know Are You Ready? We know like that. Those were things that got you fired up when you got to a game. And I don't know if that experience is the same there. I haven't been to a game with him calling it yet, so I don't know.
It's not the same.
No.
It's
Okay, and that's what I've heard. But yeah,
it's not as
it's not the same.
I would say it's a slight improvement on Mike McGuire personally, but it's still
Mike
not at
LeBlanc?
Al's
Yeah.
level.
It's
And I mean,
definitely
it's
not
hard
Mike
to get
McGuire.
to Al's level,
But yeah.
but Yeah, quite honestly, one thing I noticed right after Al left was they quit day scratches,
Right.
and that
Oh,
was
okay.
something that led you into the game. You know who's playing, you know who's not. Okay, let's go. And then they did the intros and all that kind of thing. And now
Ooh.
it's different. I don't know, better for some maybe, but it's different.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I just wondering if that helps to increase the energy, right? Like that's what I was more getting at is just that crowd energy. It's based on how you can fire people up and make them feel involved in something that they're not playing the game, but they're still involved, right?
The
Yeah.
music
So
helps a lot too, or in this case, does not.
absolutely correct. Yes, and variety, right? Mike, you and I went to that Oil Kings game, and remember they were playing like every genre of music, and we were
Yep.
like, "This is awesome! We're getting stuff that we like. There's stuff that we're like, man, whatever," but somebody likes it, and it was
It's not the
variety.
type music. It's the.
No,
I mean,
Pump up.
you can like classic rock, but if you're playing more soft and slow songs, that's not going to get the crowd energized.
Right.
You can play electronic dance music that is still very energetic and gets the crowd riled, versus something that's a little more ambient and chill, which is great for when you're sitting in a lounge, but not necessarily when you want the crowd pumped up. And I think that's part of the problem is we've gone to other stadiums and other sports in the same city, and they seem to get it, and Edmonton doesn't. And I think that's a real missed opportunity. Watch any U.S. college football game,
Mm-hmm.
and you can hear the music being played and see the effect it has on the crowd. And we're just not getting that.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
Have they still been playing Sweet Caroline every single game?
Well, this game, they started playing Sweet Caroline, and then right in the middle of it, switched to Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up, and Rick rolled the entire.
But that's even
Which-
better.
I thought was awesome.
I
I thought
can't
that was
stand-
one of the best things they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sweet Caroline, I think of McMahon. Automatically, third quarter going to fourth quarter, Sweet Caroline. Do not play it at every single game. It drives me crazy. I am not at McMahon.
And don't play it like in the middle of a quarter,
Oh,
because that's when
Yeah.
you're trying to
Yeah.
get people pumped up. You need to get that sort of beeping. That's not going to fire you up. That's going to get everyone to sing along, which is great, but it needs to be at the right time.
I did like the retro songs
Yeah.
though. Every time I heard, well, most of them I heard, I was like, yeah, oh yeah,
Yes.
80s, let's go.
I thought it
Anyway.
was a better mix of stuff, to be honest. It wasn't bad. I
Yes.
wasn't groaning every third whistle.
No, that's good. That's good. I think, a Rick roll's always fun. Why not?
Yes.
That could be just throw it in for a laugh. Okay. Let's go to some YouTube items here,
Ooh,
Superfan,
it's a
because
busy one now.
Oh, I could only imagine. And we're this row is going to be long. We're going to have to trim this one down a bit when we do the audio version.
That'll
But
be
those
fine.
of you that are sticking in for the audio and video portion, thank you very much for joining us. Go ahead, Superfan.
All right. Well, let's start from the top. Tim Capper, of course. It's not the same without Tim throwing out that first point.
If he hasn't actually put a question in, it's like, did we really do a show?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He just wanted to start off by letting everyone know that Harris is not my starting QB.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
In his opinion, Schultz will be the starter until Kahari feels Harris needs to come in. And I think that makes sense. I mean,
Yep.
at this point, you've got someone that, experienced or not, does not know your playbook. So
Yeah.
throwing him in on a couple of days, probably not a recipe for success.
No.
Tim also says that he feels for the Elks as literally one cost the Elks the game versus Winnipeg. I don't know if you can necessarily say the entire game came down to one play, but that certainly was, assuming he's talking about the non-interception or non-pick six by Aaron Grimes. While that definitely didn't help, it was still a tie game at that point.
Yeah.
And while I mean, it would have been it would have been the only on Winnipeg this season.
In the fourth quarter.
fourth quarter, yeah.
That burns even more.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
and it was there. It was hit him right in the worst spot, though, right in the hands.
yeah, Ken Ludwig agrees it is Schultz's job to lose currently. Derek Mapstone does say, I did want to compliment you on your hair. So I'm guessing he means your eyebrows.
that's
That's nice.
It must be that.
yeah.
It's good. My goatee. It's lovely.
Yeah. So Tim
Thank you.
expands a bit, saying that the Elks get that interception, which was probably a pick six. The Bombers lose. I'm not entirely sure that's true. They did sit
I
back a
think they
lot
still
at the
come
end.
back. Yeah.
I think beginning it was a 14-point swing, right? If we get that, we're up by 7 instead we were down by 7. What are you going to do? We talked a little bit about the jerseys.
You know what I do though, just so that you know, I celebrate because Bailey got the touchdown, which helped me win my fantasy game. So that was all right.
Ugh.
Carry on.
I had Bailey, but you're like, no, take Carey. Anyway,
Sorry, you had more dollars. I was trying to help you.
I still won.
Did. Yeah, that's all that matters. And you beat the perfect. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. Go ahead.
Exactly. Ken Ludwig again says the time of possession is the story once again. It just seems to be a really bad year for losing that time of possession battle.
Yeah, we lost it by 7 minutes this time. Yeah.
Yep. Ken again's apparently quite angry, all in caps. Stupid wide receiver screens. Angry face. With 3 exclamation marks.
That's the appropriate emoji for that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, how many times have we seen, and it's not just there. I mean, I was watching the Steelers game last night, and you need to have a certain number of yards and down in distance. You know what's the last before the punt, whether it's second down or third down in the States, and you need to get to that line of scrimmage, and you end up 2 yards short. All you had to do is just move a couple more yards.
Actually, speaking of that, sorry, I forgot my WTF for the last game. Down by a touchdown, 3rd and 1, and we line up in the gun and throw it for 5. Are you out of your mind? That is the absolute. That was probably the worst fourth quarter 3rd and 1 call I have ever seen in my life. I'm like, what? You have James Wilder and a 6'5" quarterback. You need 1 yard to keep. Anyway, sorry, I can go on. This could be a huge rant, so I'm just going to bite my tongue and you carry on.
Absolutely. Sketchy Jack, who is apparently a new one on the at least on the chat, says, I feel bad for Grimes. Missing the only big play is a lot of pressure. Other than that, he's done very well, in his opinion. And I have to agree. I think that he's been very quietly doing well because his name doesn't come up very much because he's not necessarily letting those big plays go. It's just, he's got Darrell hands. So,
well, it got right in his head though, because that next play, you could tell he was thinking about that instead of thinking, and then the guy then Bailey had the 40-yard catch. So,
right.
Anyway, not that I blame him. Don't get me wrong. If it was me, I'd be thinking about it too. Like nightmares. Yeah.
Tim Capper is wondering who is paying the remainder of Harris's salary. I'm guessing it's on a per game basis, just divided by the 15 games. So I'm assuming he's going to have that. As for the bonus, it would be coming out of whoever holds his contract when that comes due in February. So,
well, now I wonder if there was a side portion to that deal where they
usually would have to be reported that somebody is taking.
Yeah, I guess, but they didn't say that.
And nothing was reported, fair. So I would assume not. That's what Tim had said. Are the Elks paying part remainder of 2021? Are the Als paying all? Because nobody has said anything, I'm going to assume that it's just a straight trade. We took this player, you took that player, you've got more salary. I mean, it is, more than halfway into the season, so there's going to be a lot less salary. But he does get to play Winnipeg a couple more times, so good for him. Jerry Cooper says the October 27th is the trade deadline. So it's a question we were asking earlier. So, today's the 18th, so 9 more days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ken Ludwig says, is this going to end up being a fire sale at this point? I don't know that that's necessarily going to do it. I would, especially if you're trying to entice a new coach or have the existing coach, have another shot at it. You're going to need to at least give him some sort of weapons. You don't want to start from nothing. So we'll see.
Although one question that I did have today, do you think they look at moving Walker? If he looks like he's unhappy here, and he's not having a lot of luck here, you can't tell me a place like Ottawa or a place like BC where Mike O'Reilly might want to have his buddy D-Walk back with him, that they might not consider it anyway.
Lucky Whitehead.
I wonder. Yeah, exactly, right? They need a deep threat. And if you're using Walker like you're supposed to as a deep threat, it might be better.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So we shall see. David Winchester was asking when is Ellingson's contract up. Jerry responded that he was fairly sure that Ellingson and Walker's deal both end this season. So we're talking 2 of the top 5 paid wide receivers in the league right now who are, I mean, it's fair to say underperforming if they are in the top 5 of all wide receivers for pay. And Jerry does check. Yep, 1 year for Ellingson, signed in the offseason for $155K. And then it was probably adjusted or prorated for the season.
Right.
Ken Ludwig does respond to it wrong with the trade. This is not the NHL. There was never going to be a draft pick under any circumstances from the Harris trade. And I have to agree. I mean, you mentioned it already. Like when you got a guy that's on the bench, whether he's your franchise quarterback or not, you're not dealing from a position of strength at that point. You're like,
no,
listen, we don't have to take him. You can let him go. We've got Schultz. So
yeah.
Sketchy Jack. Again, I just like saying that.
I like listening to you say it. Yeah. Exactly.
Does anyone know what the actual attendance was, not the inflated number? I don't know. From me sitting there, I would say it was about half of what we were told. So 12,000 may not be an unrealistic number. I sent pictures to a lot of people on what the stadium looked like, but right before kickoff and after the teams had started playing. It was pretty desolate on the east side for sure. West side was busier, but I also sent pictures of the concourse at halftime. Like you could literally walk up to any of the concessions on the west side and you had maybe one person in front of you or nobody in front of you to get something at halftime. That says a lot, I have to think. So I think, 12, 15,000 is probably a realistic number.
Okay.
But the numbers they give are tickets sold or tickets that are gone, whether they were sold or given away. People always talk about papering the house. I mean, they always have promos they give out to other people, whether it's schools, whether it's businesses, whatever. But it's hard to say, right? But if the numbers are low for people in the turnstiles, that means concessions are low too. So the board will pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Got Sketchy Jack, not a big fan of the salary cap for the non-playing personnel. Ken Ludwig says no, his vote for the new head coach is Noel Thorpe, which, it's a name that has come up many times for the position. He already is the associate head coach and the defensive coordinator, so adding that extra title may not be as expensive.
Yeah, it's definitely an option. Yeah.
We still have to get an offensive coordinator at that point, but maybe that's easier. You and I had thrown a couple of names out earlier today on who maybe could be. Just a giant hand came out from Kayla. Who maybe could be head coaching candidates, and there's quite a few names out there. I think I said Baron Miles, Tommy Condell, Mark Killam from Calgary, and of course Noel Thorpe. So certainly a lot of names out there. And then not even looking at coordinators, you look at Toronto. They're number 1 in the East and number 2 overall in the league, and they have a guy that has never been a coordinator until this year. So
yeah, he was
who knows?
Quarterbacks coach, yeah.
Ken, of course, is very excited that Matt also feels the same way about Thorpe, being one of the few that should definitely come back and has earned his right to come back. So Sketchy Jack does say he wishes, he knows we have a cap to work with, but he wishes that we could get a specific offensive coordinator. That's their only job, being the OC, not a combination OC-HC. I assume that's what he's talking about. As for who to get rid of, Sketchy Jack says Shirley in accounting can stay. So that's good. I'm sure you'd be very happy about that. I mean, it sucks for the water boy that he's got to go down, but
yes,
sometimes that ball boy's got to go up against the wall.
Nice.
Jerry does say about all of that the easy part is blowing it up. The real challenge is finding the right people to take over, and especially if you're going to do it, you have to do it in a certain order.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got it. You can't have a coach and then put a GM in place, or you can't have coordinators like we did this year and put a head coach in place, et cetera, et cetera. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, agreed.
Jerry is shocked that I suggested that we should run the ball more. And to be fair, as Sketchy Jack says, I do hate the run play. I think it's overrated.
Yeah,
we do far too much.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Ludwig says, How can a team only have one football person on the BOD? Well, to be perfectly honest, for years we had no football people on the BODs. Right. To get on that board, you've got to be a business person first and foremost. Tom Richards, of course, is a very successful business person, but there are other former players that have played either with the Green and Gold or with other teams that maybe now live in Edmonton. I think that would be quite good for it. Rod Conop, fairly successful as a business person and has done well. Obviously, Sean Fleming has done well. These are maybe just a couple of names that maybe could be thought of to add it to the board. The board members don't last a long time, just 3 years, and they're sort of rotated through. So having a couple of people maybe that have some football acumen might be a good plan.
Would be, and then go along with Matt's idea from the Seattle Sounders, where you've got a fan committee that actually, not doesn't hold the board of directors accountable, but at least gives them an idea of what do the fans want. If you want people in the stands, ask the fans.
Yeah.
Right? Like to
Yes
some
and
degree.
no, I think,
to some degree.
I mean, to me, it's like asking the fans. They're probably already there. You need to go around and ask people that aren't there. You've heard of the Edmonton Elks Football Club. Yeah. Have you ever gone to a game? No. Why not? What would it take to make you go to a game? Go to the university. Go to McEwen. Go to Nate. Go to wherever this mythical, secret millennial or soon to be Generation Z at this point. Yeah. I mean, we're going to be drafting players next year born in 2000, for the love of Pete.
Language.
I know. Anyway. Let's get back to questions. Yes. Derek Mapstone says, what do you think the Elks need to do to get fans back in the stands? It's embarrassing having around 8,000 fans per game, even though they say 24,000. Ken Ludwig says, win. Fans are not getting paid to watch the garbage we've been watching this year. Sketchy Jack says that they need to employ FOMO marketing. So get that fear of missing out for the fans. I was going to have to check with Kayla what that meant, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But yeah, it's just at this point you need to have an experience. You need to have something you can get at the stadium live that you can't get at home. And until you figure out what that is, I don't think you're gonna get people there. So
better
sketchy.
Different replays, slow-mo replays. Is that what
replays?
Replays at all?
Yeah,
that would be good. Yeah.
Yeah. He does miss Al.
Yeah, I think we all miss Al. But that's actually a fair question. Do you if you had, if you could wish for anything that would happen in the stadium that would make the game experience more fun for you, what would it be?
I think letting one fan per game get to be a cheerleader, I think that'd be kind of fun. I mean, I'd pay money to watch you up there shaking your pom-poms. Come on.
That's very dangerous
not
for my
the aerial
back.
Team.
The
aerial team.
Oh, not that. Okay, that's what you're...
part of the dance team.
Just this part.
You could do the black. It'd be great.
Oh, perfect. Okay, awesome. Could they all do the freak? Because that would be amazing.
Well,
there
that's
we
what
go.
We should make this happen.
I know, this is good. But what about if you could, and I know this is a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but what if you could, fair. What if you had like a closed circuit TV in stadium where you could watch the replay on your phone while you're at the game, so you feel like you're a little more in control of because I think a lot of people right now are watching on TSN. They're watching for that other stuff that happens in between the plays and all those kind of things. I wonder if there's something, or if they ever got to the point where there'd be the in-game betting or whatever, where you could just, oh, what are they going to do on the next play or whatever. Like I think but you have that in stadium, and you could do ones where you actually it would be for money. You could do ones that it would just be for, like, if you get the most points, then you get a gift card at the store or whatever. But you could bet, and at least then it feels like you're interacting with the game while you're at the game. But you can only do that in stadium. Like, I think that would be kind of
connect to their Wi-Fi or whatever, and that's it.
Right.
I think that'd be a problem for the replays. The Wi-Fi is kind of spotty enough
that's
as it
fair.
is.
But they'd have to, all that would have
or something that's more text-based, like betting on what the next play is, or participating in something. Have the fans get to call one play a game. See what
Cool.
happens.
Yeah, I like this. Yeah.
Wishbone. Anyway,
I think some teams in the States are already experimenting with apps, probably around the in-game betting, but also with certain different types of camera angles that you could watch a replay on your phone from End Zone Cam or Sky Cam or whatever, and see different things.
Yeah.
why not?
Kind of cool.
I don't know. It's a step up for us, but I did notice that we had the cable cam
Yes, we did.
for I think the first time
Yeah.
this year. which was
4K.
interesting,
Oh,
so.
that looks so good.
Yeah. I love actually the TSN cams. Well, I don't know if that was TSN cams or not. I don't know. I've watched a lot of football this past weekend, but where the guy scores the touchdown and you get the guy that scored the touchdown in focus, but then all of
That's the
fans
4K.
are behind. Is that the 4K?
Yeah.
That is such a cool. Yeah, it's such a neat effect. I love it. It's
looks
neato.
so good.
Yeah. So, sorry, Mike. We keep stomping all over your.
That's all right.
YouTube
That's the
comment.
whole thing. Is this supposed to generate some chatter? So this is great. Where are we here? Sketchy Jack was saying that there's no energy. He needs he feels that the fans need to get loud. Jennifer Lopez was the best to get the crowd going. J-Lo could probably get a lot of people excited.
That was very muted and well played.
Yeah, well
Like
done, eh? Derek Mapstone was very disappointed in the Rickroll, since Sweet Caroline is his jam, so ruining it just pissed me off even more. And then Derek, we were talking that Ellingson and Dewok were the top 5 highest paid wide receivers, and we have one more in the top 10, and that's Tavon Smith. So Derek wants to know, how do you pay Smith the 7th highest in the CFL, and he's a backup? I mean, you've got
Right.
Mike Jones, and Cy Ross in front of him. So
Now, again, if they're looking at somebody like if Kweku's not 100% and they're going to have to look at rotating some ratio, is that where you see him come in? Who knows?
well, that's the thing, is we already have 2 Canadians, right?
Right. So, but I'm saying if you're trying to get to a ratio and you need a safety and you've got 3 on the line, so now we're at 4, and then 3.
You've got Kwaku and
3
Betts.
receivers. But I'm just saying, are they going to start to move away from that if it's not? They keep signing defensive ends, and those guys, if they aren't playing at 100%, are they going to rotate that ratio?
We had 8 or almost 9 starting Canadians at one point when you only need 7.
at the.
So that's what
know,
I'm
at the
saying.
beginning
So
of the
I don't think we need 3 starting Canadian receivers at this point. But
Yeah,
what do I know?
Maybe. Depends on how many other ones they're going to actually start.
Exactly.
But, okay.
We're just going to start nothing but offensive linemen. Just
Right.
12 offensive linemen on
Awesome.
offense. It'll be great. Dave
Yep.
Chester did apologize for the east side being empty. He says we were all in the Jackie Parker room.
Oh, fair.
Jackie Parker room did have the salute to the Knothole gang, which I thought was kind of
Yes.
cool. Unfortunately, I missed it. I was at West of Us, and then before the game, we were doing tailgating. So apparently it was a really good time, sort of
Okay.
going through some of the Knothole gang, some pictures, some actual things from the Knothole gang, which I thought was pretty cool.
Awesome.
I was told, this is Ken Ludwig, I was told years ago by Dave Jameson that attendance was season tickets plus walk-ups, which makes sense, right? It's how many
Right.
people are sold, which is really what they're looking for, whether the people there. But again, it does affect things like concessions and how bad it looks on TV,
Right.
especially when you have most people on the west side and cameras are on the west side pointing east. So it looks pretty bad, much like in Toronto where the people are on the same side as the camera. So the hot side is where the people are. So what else we got here? Sketchy Jack is all for you being a cheerleader and watching you do the freep. So that's good.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Dave would say that cheerleading is not something that he would volunteer for. Me personally, I would love to see Dave Winchester doing some cheerleading.
I'm in on that. If
Abs-
there's a voting process, he gets my vote.
He gets my vote. You're in, Dave.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And Matt Pretty with his wonderful flag. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And Sketchy Jack says cheerleading cheerleading Andrew looking like Right Said Fred doing the freep at center field. 10.
Come on. Come on. That brings people in right there, doesn't it?
I mean, I'm there. You're too sexy for the freep.
Something.
Anyway,
all not correct, but
and that's where it ends off, and I think that's a pretty good spot for it to end off.
That's pretty amazing. It's not a great end for anybody that wants to sleep tonight, but it was good for everything else. Before we get to our Horde and Pick'em, let's do this quickly. This episode is also brought to you by Roomy. Roomy, what is that, you ask? Well, that is not just what Mike and I want to be at some point. It's it's something different completely. If you've ever wondered what's really going on in your home, Roomy's Ask a Home Inspector service can help. Connect with a certified professional home inspector by phone or video call and get your questions answered. Roomy will let you know what's easily fixable with a little DIY or when you might need to call in some professional help. With a lot of those examples, I believe Travis said this week, those sound like things that I would need a professional help. I don't know that I'd be. Anyway, it's be good to get the consult. Visit roomy.ca, that's RUMI.ca, and book your Ask a Home Inspector appointment today. All right. See, we had never got to do that one before. I thought that was fun.
No.
Yes. So, Mike, do you want to do Horde items or pick them first? What do you feel like?
Oh, let's get a little bit of Horde in there.
Lovely.
And everyone can start thinking about their pick'em choices. Sure.
Sounds wonderful. I'll bring you in on your own. Yes.
Outstanding. So, a couple of weeks ago, we went over some of the items that had belonged to Brian and Linda Edwards. Brian, of course, passed away a few months ago now, a good friend of all of us. And so many people across the country that are fans of the CFL. He sort of had interacted with and touched most of us in emotionally and as an amazing friend. So at this point, Linda has decided that while she's not getting rid of everything, there's a lot of things that she and Brian had collected over the years and kind of wants it to go to homes of people that would appreciate it. So this week, I went to their house and picked out 4 totes worth of stuff.
Okay.
So lots of things. And this week, it's footballs.
Ooh.
I mean, what's the CFL without a football, right? So first things I have a bin full of the mini footballs. There's lots of different kinds. Looks like it's a Grey Cup one. We've got even little tiny ones.
Oh, I haven't seen one of those cute before. That's cool.
Oh, this one, this is just give it to a dog or something.
Wilson needs a new toy. It's lovely.
Exactly. But, this is the much better TELUS one. So there's, like I said, a bin full of them. There's a slightly larger mini football from the Grey Cup. So there's lots of different footballs there. We're going to be looking at getting rid of a larger type football here.
Oh.
So this is they did team footballs. This one is great for getting signed by the team. Bring it to fan day, bring it to a practice, bring it to whatever, and getting the team to sign it. It really shows up well on these. And then speaking of things that are signed, here's a 100th Grey Cup football. And this has been signed by 2 people. Now, I'm sure most people might recognize that signature there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Mr. Ricky Ray, and then this was the 100th Grey Cup, and Ricky was with Toronto, and that was his teammate, Mr. Chad Owens.
That's a nice one.
Number 2. Absolutely. Some really cool stuff there. We have, what else we got here? This is a Grey Cup ball. So this was not used in the Grey Cup, but it does have, hopefully you can see that.
There we can, yep.
There we go. So there's the score of the game and the plays and everything else. So these were sort of ceremonial balls they made after the game, and you could buy them. Not a whole lot were made, so these are quite rare. I do have this one. I think is pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
So there's a lovely football. This is an official J5V. This is a game-used ball from 1994. There is somewhere up here, and I can see right above the word Spalding, there's a little tiny 9-4.
Oh, yeah.
So that tells you where it's from. Yeah. A game-used ball. I don't know much more about it, but this little 94 does tell you. And then I also have a bin of footballs signed by the team.
Oh, wow.
People know that I collect a lot of footballs. You can sort of see them there behind me. Wasn't anything in here that I didn't already have, but there are balls from 2000, which is this one here with the gold ink. 2002, of course, the year with Ricky Ray's first season, Jason Tucker's first season. 2006, 2008, which was the only year that would have had Jason Tucker and Fred Stamps on it.
Wow.
2012 and 2013, which was Mike Riley's first year. So quite a few of those as well. So let's see another one here. What year is this? This one is, oh, that's the one I just did. This one is the 2002. So this is with the black ink.
Oh, nice.
And there's Ricky right up front
Yeah,
there.
very prominent. Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty outstanding balls and things like that. So I'm going to be working with Linda on pricing on those, and we'll be listing those on the Edmonton Football History Twitter page. And if you're interested in any of these items, or there might be some items I didn't show, there's going to be, like I said, I got 4 bins of these things to get through. Anyone interested in the team sign balls, I will also be going through each one and listing every player that's listed on it, so you'll know who signed it and who didn't.
Awesome.
So I'll be listing them pretty soon, and in the next couple of days, and then you'll have a chance to just message me at the 56 Parkies account. Let me know if you're interested.
Oh man, that is so awesome. There's some great stuff in there. I really like the one with the score from the 2015 game. So
yeah, that's a great
I might
one.
reach out to you for that one myself. We'll see how that
Yep.
because that's a good one.
I also have another one without the score that is a official Grey Cup ball.
Oh, nice.
So.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And hey, when we do the Horde, is nothing better than to show us all your balls.
That's
Right.
what I'm here for.
I know. God, just full of horrible jokes tonight. Sorry about that.
Someone's got to.
Our last person turns off. That's enough of that.
Yeah.
He's not talking.
There
No more of
goes.
that. Let's do our pick'ems. Mercifully, there is no Elks game to talk about this week.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, the over under on a return by the Elks. Under for everybody.
We don't need to
That's
worry.
right. Okay, good. Okay, so we've got 4 games to pick from. The first one on a Friday night. Toronto travels to Montreal. Argos taking on the Alouettes for a battle for second place. Or actually, to see if they get up to first. Like, Montreal's pushing for first. That's right. Yeah, that's what I was
They're
getting
one
at.
win behind.
Yep. So this is a huge 4-point game in the Eastern Division. Matt, who you got in this game?
Boy, if I think Toronto, only Shelton, well, not quite as much, put it that way. And Toronto seems to be that their name keeps winning. So, okay, sure.
That is an interesting way to do pick'em. I love having you
I
on
like
here,
it.
Matt. This is fun. Yeah. Superfan, who you got?
Toronto's had a bit of a break there. Montreal's got their second game under Matthew Schiltz. I think this is going to be a tough one to call just because there's so many unknowns. But I think the extra rest for Toronto and a little bit more film on Schiltz means that Toronto might take this one.
All right.
Sorry, Tim.
Commissioner.
Yeah, I'm like Matt too. I'll go with this guy. I don't know. Who knows? But I'm going to do the opposite, and I think Montreal's going to be strong coming off their win and extra motivated to get those points and challenge Toronto for first place. So I will go Montreal in Montreal.
All right. And I was going to go with the Argos this week solely because they're coming off the bye. Montreal's had a couple of tight games. And like you said, Mike, there's film on Schiltz and all those types of things. But I think Toronto coming off a bye, it'll be interesting if their head coach carries over what happens in Calgary. They come off the bye and they win. So I'm going to go with Toronto in this one. Next one is Ottawa. Now we have a triple header again on Saturday.
We do.
Who's excited for 9 hours of football?
I'm excited about all kinds of football.
Mhm.
Let's make it 12 next year.
That's like 2 days in a row because you got CFL all Saturday and NFL all Sunday. Oh my goodness, that's a lot.
It's the greatest time of the year.
So much football. Yeah,
It's true.
yeah. Oh, and this past Sunday I had all day NFL, and then I got to go watch Riley play at
See?
Clark Stadium. That was
Nice.
really neat, to play under the lights and to watch them go. And they were playing the Seahawks, the Edmonton Seahawks, and the Seahawks easily, I think they had 29 kids on their sideline.
Ooh.
The Chargers had 15.
Wow.
And
Playing both
and they
ways.
found a way. Like
Old school.
I think Riley had, I think it was about 15 plays off where they just had a bit of a breather, but he played defense, tight end, and then he long snapped everything and was on kick returns. And yeah, it was cool. Just to see him playing on that kind of a field was really, really neato. So that was awesome. Okay, back to Peckham.
Lights make all the difference.
I know, right? It totally feels like it feels real. So Ottawa versus Hamilton is the first game in our triple header. Hamilton kicks off. It's in Hamilton, I guess I should say. So Superfan, you get to go first.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna say Hamilton. Let's just
go in that way.
I'm just gonna say Hamilton.
Okay.
I don't think anything I could add to that really needs to be said.
We all know exactly what's going to be said, and you're right.
Yes.
Commissioner?
Ditto.
Me too. Matt?
4.
Okay. Well, that was quick. All right. Next one. BC versus Winnipeg. This one going in Winnipeg. Commissioner, who you got in this one?
I can't see BC bouncing back from that game against Calgary and in Winnipeg against a team that has just been dominant. It would take a miracle. I mean, Riley's no short of miracles, but I don't see it happening. Winnipeg.
Yeah, I think I'm going to say the same thing. I think this is at home. The defense playing the way it is. No running game for BC. It's Winnipeg. Matt.
If it were in BC, I might go differently, but yeah, no, I agree. Winnipeg, they're on too much of a roll right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we well know.
I believe in miracles, not for this game, but I believe in miracles. I might be persuaded to pick a flyer on a BC win if it was at BC Place, but even still, like, it was a bad game against Calgary, and Winnipeg is way better than Calgary. So I unless Winnipeg beats themselves, I think it's got to be the Bombers.
That O-line, I am already praying for them on the BC.
On the other hand, you know what? I basically shot my pick'em to hell, so I might as well pick BC and see if I can actually catch somebody.
There you go.
We'll see how it feels like. Last game, Saskatchewan versus Calgary. This one in Calgary.
It's the game of the week.
And it's their third matchup. Saskatchewan coming off the bye, so it should be very interesting. But I think Calgary's too much on a roll, and Calgary. Matt, who do you have in this game?
They can't. I mean, I know we just experienced it, but those two teams are too close for one team to win 3 in a row, right? I hope.
Calgary.
I kind of hope. Yeah.
Pick, but I don't know.
Saskatchewan high inflection question mark? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Superfan?
I'm actually going to take Saskatchewan in this one. I think it's going to be a close game one way or the other, and it's going to come down to, like so many games, just a handful of plays. And I think that with that bye week and with the extra time, Saskatchewan's got to do something to right the ship, and Big Brother needs to have something to talk about over the holiday dinner at Christmas time. So I think this is the game.
Well, the other part of that is they are getting Duke Williams and possibly Shaq Evans back in the lineup. It could be an interesting twist with having that bye where they had it. So, Commissioner?
Well, I have to go with Saskatchewan because it's Calgary. So I've made an oath for this season, and I'm sticking to it.
Good
I
oath.
pick Calgary. Matt's shirt is perfect.
It's good oath. That's yeah. Matt's shirt says it all. Yeah, anyone but Calgary. Well, this is fun, guys. We're coming, Matt, and joining us and bringing those amazing questions that really stirred up some good conversation. That was very good, both on YouTube and in the district. We really appreciate it. Tell everybody where they can find you and chat with you more about this online.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me, everybody. It was great to see you all. I am probably most easily reachable at Matt Pretty on Twitter.
And that's just Pretty, so everyone knows exactly how it is. All right. Super fan, where does everybody find you?
They can find me at 56 Parkies. Again, if you are interested in any of the football items I'll be posting soon, that's the best place to message me there. And then you'll be able to see those, and I will be retweeting it from that account, but it will be retweeted from the Edmonton history, which does talk a bit about the history. We've had that video we posted a while ago about the 1921 team. Lots of pictures, lots of stories at EDM History, HISTOREE.
I did try to do that.
You did a
last week.
fine job.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I thought I didn't give it enough justice like you do, but you're amazing. Commissioner, where does everybody find you?
On Twitter at Duchess Lombardi.
And are you going to spell that like Mike? Or
No, I'd have to write it backwards.
DU Chess Lombardi.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Exactly.
I like that. That's awesome. Yeah. And you're always amazing. So I didn't even have to say that. I just tell you that you're always amazing. Make sure you guys are following Pay It Forward with Football, because they are still sending people to games and, of course, spread kindness, which is amazing. Lots of great shows coming out on the CFPN, and we're still doing the CFPN Fantasy League. Mike, you beat Coop last week, so thank you very much for that.
By the skin of my teeth.
Just by, but it
my
was
worst
wonderful.
season or worst game this season.
And yet it wasn't the worst in the league, so that's
fine.
perfect. And then I won over Safamod from the Piffles Pod. This week I get Coop from the Canadian Football Countdown, and you get Travis Kura, who was on the show last week from 2 and Out. Listen to all the great shows, of course, and follow along with the Fantasy Action, which has been a lot of fun. But you can follow all the other shows at cfpodnetwork.ca. And, of course, make sure you check out all the great shows on the Alberta Podcast Network. And where do you find those? At albertapodcastnetwork.com.
So much better.
Okay. And then, isn't it? I know, yeah. People are like, stop doing that, you weird turtle. Okay. Join. If I do that, is that okay? Or is it, anyway. Okay, good. Join us in the huddle at the Turf District. You can follow us there on Facebook, on Twitter, and of course on Instagram when we get around to remembering to put stuff on there. We will be back next week. We won't have a game to talk about, but we will have a game to preview. And we will find another amazing, great fan like Matt to do more chatting about what comes next for our team and what to do to get people back to cheer for the team. So for Matt, Commissioner Kayla, Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely